Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be continuing David's story. Um, a new week here. If you remember, Abner got killed by Joab because he sought revenge for his brother's death, and he felt like he was going to betray David, so he killed him. And then he ran off, and now David is going to be going after him. If you also remember, the two guards killed Ishbosheth and thought they would get rewarded by David. So David ended up, executing them for betraying their king. But we're going to go and continue this. It's called God's New Capital, based on 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 6 through 10 and 1 Chronicles chapter 11 verse 4 through 9. As king of all Israel, David decides to set up a new capital city in Jerusalem. The good news: Jerusalem is on the border between Israel and Judah, so David won't show favoritism by living there. The bad news: it's already inhabited by enemies of Israel, and no one has ever been able to conquer it. Even if we were lame and blind, we could defend this city from the likes of you. Whoever can capture this city will be the commander of all my armies. And they're like, deal. That night, Joab and some of his men find the waterway that leads out of the back of the city. Yuck. Crawling through the sewers will be unclean for a month after this. We have no choice. The outside fences are impregnable. Jerusalem must be taken from within. Surprised by the sudden appearance of David's men, the guards are quickly overcome. Give the order to open the gates or die. The terrified officer shouts the order, and the huge gates swing open. And David's army charges through Jerusalem. It is now his and almost without a fight. So basically they they snuck into the sewers and threatened them and made them open the gates, and they charged and taking it over. Now we're reading Temple Dreams based on 2 Samuel chapter 6 through 7, 1 Chronicles chapter 13 verse 15 through 17, and Psalms chapter 24, 96, 105, and 106. Jerusalem is now the capital of the city of Israel, but David wants a spiritual capital as well. It is time to give the Ark of the Covenant a permanent home. Ever since the Philistines tried to capture the Ark, it has been kept in the Kiriath Jearim. David wants it brought to Jerusalem. Unfortunately, the Israelites have forgotten God's instructions for moving the Ark. As they transport it, the ox cart and the oxen stumble one of the guards, reaching out to keep the Ark from falling, and touches it. And so basically only the priest could touch it, if I remember right. Only the priest could touch the Ark of the Covenant. Other than that, no other man. If you touch the Ark of the Covenant, you turn to dust. Obviously this man, meant no harm in doing it, but that was just the law of it. It couldn't be changed. It would be the same now, I would believe. If we found the Ark of the Covenant, we would not be able to touch it unless you were a priest. Obviously the man probably instantly went to heaven, which is much better than earth anyways, but that was a very strong law. But I mean, obviously, the Ark of the Covenant is pretty old by this point, so most people probably did forget, and we weren't supposed to touch it. I mean, that was created way back when Moses was when Moses was still when Moses made him and stuff. He is killed instantly because God's law allows only only a Levite to touch the Ark. So it's only a Levite can touch the Ark. David leaves the Ark nearby until God gives him permission to bring it to Jerusalem. When David tries again to bring the ark to Jerusalem, he pays attention to the Lord's instruction. He assembles all the priests of Israel with the instructions that only the Levites may touch the ark, so Levite priests. The processions is accompanied by the finest musicians in the land who play and sing songs praises to the Lord. Let the heavens rejoice. May the earth be glad. Sing for joy to the Lord because he rules in righteousness. And as David says in their singing, give thanks to the Lord for he is good. His love endures forever. David says again, give thanks to the Lord. Call on his name. Let all countries know what he has done. Sing his praise, seek his face, and never forget his wonders. When they reach Jerusalem, David is so overjoyed that he dances and sings at the front of the parade. Lift up your heads, you mighty gates. Open so the King of glory may enter. The Levites put the ark in the tent in the center of the city, but that doesn't feel proper to David. He calls the prophet Nathan in for a discussion. It doesn't feel right for God's house to be in a tent, while I live in a palace. I'd like to build a temple to God. That sounds like a great idea. I'm sure God would be pleased. But the next day, David, wait. God spoke to me last night. He said that his temple must be a house of peace, and you've been forced to be a man of war. You cannot build a new house for him. But don't worry, one of your sons will be the man of peace, and he will build a house for God someday. Great is the sovereign Lord for giving me such a promise. Thank you, O God. And with your blessing, my house will be blessed forever. See, in a way, David could have got angry. Like, he could have been upset that he couldn't have been the one to build it or whatever. But instead, he was thankful, that, God made such a promise to him, and that one of his sons would be a man of peace, and that he would be able to create this temple, this peaceful temple where the Ark of the Covenant would be. So we'll get into the next story called David's Sin, which I'm sure everybody has heard before. It's definitely one of the most well-known stories in the Bible. But we'll get to that on Wednesday, so hopefully you guys learned something new, even maybe learning that the Ark of the Covenant could not be touched but by a Levite priest. So, but, I thank you guys for watching again. Hopefully you learned something. Share the news with God, and as always, take it easy, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday.